Before you read another word, imagine standing in a crowded room filled with flashing cameras, smiling faces, and carefully rehearsed answers. Imagine believing that someone who once meant everything to you would always understand your silence, your struggles, and your pain. Then imagine hearing a single sentence that changes everything. "I will never cry for you again." Those 7 words landed with the force of a storm no one saw coming. And according to those who witnessed the unforgettable moment, Soo-kai stood completely speechless. What really happened between Tan Songyun and Soo-kai? Was it a misunderstanding that grew too large? Was it a friendship pushed to its limits? Or was it the painful ending of a connection that neither of them expected to lose? Stay with us until the very end because this story takes unexpected turns that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about loyalty, trust, and the hidden emotions behind celebrity smiles. If you enjoy emotional stories filled with shocking twists and unforgettable moments, make sure to follow and share because this is one story people will be talking about for a very long time. The atmosphere inside the venue felt ordinary at first. Fans filled the audience seats. Reporters prepared their questions. Cameras flashed from every direction. It looked like just another promotional event where stars would smile, wave, and answer predictable questions. But beneath the surface, something felt different. Tan Songyun appeared calm, perhaps too calm. Those who had followed her career closely noticed a subtle change in her expression. Her smile was present, yet there seemed to be a weight behind her eyes. Soo-kai sat nearby, maintaining his usual composed image. Neither of them appeared nervous. Neither of them showed any obvious sign that the day would become unforgettable. The event continued smoothly. Questions came and went. Laughter occasionally filled the room. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Then a reporter asked a question that nobody expected would open the door to something much deeper. The question was simple. What have recent challenges taught you about relationships and trust? For a brief moment, Tan Songyun remained silent. The room suddenly felt smaller. The audience waited. Soo-kai looked toward her. Nobody knew what she was about to say. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm and controlled. Yet every word carried extraordinary weight. She talked about disappointment. She talked about expectations. She talked about learning that sometimes people change. Then she paused. The silence stretched longer than anyone expected. And then came the sentence, "I will never cry for you again." The room froze. Even the reporters seemed unsure how to react. It was not the volume of her voice that shocked everyone. It was the certainty behind it. There was no hesitation, no anger, no visible bitterness, just acceptance. The kind of acceptance that usually arrives after countless sleepless nights and painful realizations. Every eye immediately turned towards Soo-kai. His reaction became the center of attention. For a brief moment, he appeared genuinely caught off guard. The confidence that usually defined him seemed to disappear. He opened his mouth as if preparing to respond, then stopped. No words came out. The cameras captured everything. The audience watched in complete silence. What made the moment so powerful was not simply what Tan Songyun said. It was what remained unsaid. People began asking questions immediately. Who was she talking about? What had happened? Was the statement directed at Soo-kai? Or was it connected to something else entirely? Speculation spread rapidly. Fans flooded social media with theories. Some believed the words reflected a personal disappointment. Others believed the statement symbolized a broader lesson about life and emotional growth. Regardless of the interpretation, one thing became clear. The moment had struck a nerve. Behind every public figure exists a private world that audiences rarely see. A world filled with victories that never become headlines. A world filled with struggles hidden behind professional smiles. Perhaps that was why Tan Songyun's words resonated so deeply. People recognized the emotion. Almost everyone has experienced a moment when they realized they could no longer carry the emotional weight of someone else's choices. Almost everyone has reached a point where sadness transforms into acceptance, where tears lose their purpose, where healing finally begins. As discussions continued online, old interviews resurfaced. Fans revisited previous interactions between Tan Songyun and Soo Kai. Every smile was analyzed. Every conversation was examined. Every shared appearance suddenly seemed more significant. Moments that once appeared ordinary now felt filled with hidden meaning. One clip attracted particular attention. In the video, Tan Songyun laughed while Soo Kai shared a story from a previous project. At the time, the interaction seemed casual. Now viewers searched for clues. Body language became evidence. Expressions became mysteries. Silences became possible answers. The fascination continued growing. Yet perhaps the most surprising development came from the reactions of fans themselves. Instead of focusing entirely on controversy, many began sharing personal stories. Stories about heartbreak. Stories about friendship. Stories about learning when to let go. The sentence, "I will never cry for you again," became more than a headline. It became a symbol, a reminder that emotional strength is not always loud. Sometimes strength appears in the quiet decision to move forward. Days later, the discussion remained intense. Entertainment programs debated the meaning behind the statement. Commentators offered countless interpretations. Some described it as a declaration of independence. Others viewed it as the closing chapter of an emotional journey. Meanwhile, Soo Kai remained relatively reserved. That silence only increased public curiosity. People wanted answers. People wanted explanations. People wanted certainty. But life rarely provides complete certainty. Sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones filled with unanswered questions. As attention continued building, observers noticed something else. Tan Songyun seemed different. Not sad. Not angry. Stronger. There was a confidence in her public appearances that captured attention. She smiled naturally. She interacted warmly with fans. She appeared comfortable in her own skin. For many supporters, that transformation became the real story. Not the dramatic sentence. Not the speculation. Not the rumors. The real story was resilience. The ability to walk through disappointment without allowing it to define you. The ability to acknowledge pain without becoming trapped by it. The ability to continue moving forward even when parts of your past remain unresolved. Months of emotional growth can often be hidden behind a single sentence. Perhaps that was the case here. Perhaps the words that shocked everyone represented the final page of a much longer journey. A journey that began with trust, passed through disappointment, and ultimately arrived at acceptance. Meanwhile, Soo Kai faced his own wave of attention. Observers carefully watched his interviews and appearances. Many believed they could detect reflection in his expressions. Whether that perception was accurate remained impossible to know. But one thing became undeniable. The moment had affected everyone who witnessed it. The reason was simple. At its heart, this was not merely a celebrity story. It was a human story. A story about expectations. A story about emotional boundaries. A story about discovering that self-respect sometimes requires difficult decisions. People often imagine emotional strength as something dramatic. They picture confrontations, arguments, explosive declarations. Reality is often very different. True strength can arrive quietly. Sometimes it arrives through a calm voice, a steady gaze, and a simple sentence that closes a chapter forever. "I will never cry for you again." The words continued echoing across discussions because they carried universal meaning. They represented the moment someone chooses healing over hurt, growth over regret, peace over endless emotional exhaustion. As the story continued spreading, countless fans expressed admiration for the courage behind those words. Not because they celebrated conflict, but because they understood the importance of reclaiming emotional power. Life inevitably brings disappointments. People make promises they cannot keep. Expectations collide with reality. Trust is sometimes tested. Yet every difficult experience offers a choice. Remain trapped in the pain, or move forward stronger than before. The message hidden within Tan Songyun's statement appeared remarkably clear. Healing does not mean forgetting. Healing means refusing to let past wounds control your future. And perhaps that is why the moment became unforgettable. It was not simply about Tan Songyun. It was not simply about Su Kai. It was about everyone who has ever reached the end of an emotional struggle and finally found the courage to let go. Long after the cameras stopped recording, long after the reporters moved on, long after social media found its next trending topic, those 7 words remained. A reminder that every ending creates space for a new beginning. A reminder that strength often emerges from heartbreak. And a reminder that the most powerful person in the room is sometimes the one who no longer needs anyone else's approval to move forward. Whether the full truth behind the moment is ever revealed may not matter. What matters is the lesson people took away from it. Know your worth, protect your peace, and never be afraid to close a chapter that no longer serves your future. Because sometimes the strongest words a person can say are also the simplest. I will never cry for you again.